Good morning, gearheads. Welcome to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM, our pre-race show for the Formula One British Grand Prix. The very first World Championship Formula One race was held at Silverstone in 1950. And today we have three Brits starting 1, 2, 3 in the race, hoping for a storybook ending and with a home victory. This is Jon Massengale in the studio in Austin, Texas. I'm joined by Bob Varsha in Atlanta. And today, back in the studio, we have our own Brit across the table from me. He's an official Texan now. But Jonathan Green, this race is still special to you, isn't it?
It has to be. There's no question. If I ever yearn for the motherland, it is on days like this, on weekends like this, and on basically fortnights like this, because it's Wimbledon, and in this particular case, it's the European Soccer Championships as well. And I may add that England scored every penalty that they ever were thrown at yesterday, which is totally unheard of since I was born. It's also the first time that three Brits have been on the front row, Kyalami 1967, since I was born. So, yeah, in that respect, it's
cool.
Regardless of the jingoism, it is.
Shut up!
Sorry, Lando. But it is a pretty special moment, and the British Grand Prix always has a place in the heart. And I really do feel for George. I hadn't realised it was only his third pole.
Yeah. And Bob Varsha,
And you've got
as an American, it's still special to us too, right?
Yeah, I'm an American. Where do I apply to be an official Texan? How do I do that?
Hours.
Yeah,
A lot of meat
of
involved.
course it's there's no mistaking that Americans and Brits have a lot in common and a lot of affection for each other in the way we go about our business. Don't forget the Tour de France going on right now.
Of course.
That means a lot to a lot of Brits.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but as I said yesterday, nobody does pomp and circumstance like the Brits. I'm sure they'll have marching bands and all kinds of gala activities going on out of the grid before the start of today's race. But it is a huge event. Britain has been, and I make fun of them all the time for it, but Britain has such a huge role to play in the development of the World Championship and Grand Prix racing going back to the turn of the 20th century. So it really is the ancestral home of the sport, not only in Britain, but throughout the world. And, there's a reason 7 of the 10 teams are based there. It's a center of expertise and technical excellence. It's just, it's a special weekend, no question.
I mean, think about that. In a spread of 50 miles, put a circle around Silverstone, 50 miles.
Yep.
7 of those teams, most of which are pumping over more than 400 people to the project, including 2 teams based in Silverstone itself. Then you've got Milton Keynes, which is, 7 miles away. You've got Brackley, Mercedes, just 5 miles away. I mean, you're talking about the community of that area. There isn't a pub you can't go into where there will not be a Formula One mechanic or somebody involved in Formula One. So to say it overtakes that area is pretty impressive. It's an industry. And think about the turnover. It's never been government backed. The BRDC is private.
Good point.
It's not like you get your 25 million from the government and, for the sports fund, or in Malaysia's case, the government, pay for the lot. So it has a unique role to play.
Yeah. And I really have to admire the British, too, for their size. It's extraordinary what they've done. I mean, if the Formula One decided it wanted to go to the moon, we'd have the opportunity to buy a summer place up there by now, because the Brits just one event after another. I mean, look at World War II, look at, the early days of world exploration. And, they're just, they've accomplished so much with, it's such a tiny country. Every time I go there, I think, wait a minute. Millions of people, but look at all Britain does and can do. And other countries do as well, but countries of similar size just can't compete with what Britain represents as a people, as a society, as a technology. Yeah, I know they're having all kinds of problems right now, but who isn't? All the cool kids are having coups right now. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm an Anglophile. Look it up.
Touche. Here.
Inside joke. Sorry, boys.
Yeah. Anyway.
Carry on. Yeah, and there's no question. I mean, as Bob alluded to, there's a lot going on. We're having a tough time. We just changed government on the 4th of July. 14 years of Conservative, 5 five different prime ministers in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that even happen?
Because they call an election. You can do that here in the UK.
Yeah, you could say.
Can we do that? Can we just
It'd be nice.
change?
Oh boy,
give them a week and say, "I'm sorry, we're done with you."
Yeah.
France is the same way. They just did the same thing. They called snap elections, and oops, it backfired. So,
well,
I hear the dulcet tones.
Yep,
of a Brit.
Speaking of a Brit in Silverstone, I hear Chris Medland's microphone. Mr. Medland, how are you this morning, this afternoon for you?
I'm good. Have I walked into a political debate? What's going on?
Yeah.
You have somehow. We were discussing the history of the world and how Britain fits into it somehow.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I will get myself in too much trouble talking about the British history of politics and all of that. I'm good. I'm gonna move it on to what it's like here, which is typically British, as it was yesterday. For anyone who followed us on the qualifying show, I can see some blue sky in one direction. I can see some dark grey clouds in the other one. I'm wearing two coats over a shirt. One of them's waterproof, one of them's not, because it's cold enough that I need both. It looks like it's actually about to rain in about 10 to 15 minutes, just as the pit lane opens for the cars to get to the grid. So this is going to get spicy.
God, what is the temperature, Chris? Like 12 or 13 Celsius, something like that?
Oh, no, we've got a heat wave now. It's 15.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's like 60 degrees. Yeah. That's cool. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it was about 57, 58 yesterday. It's only going to go up to 63. And my weather forecast app agrees with you, Chris. It's going to rain in the next hour.
Yep, I'm ready for it. I am prepped. But I must say, actually, that isn't stopping people coming out. We've got a huge crowd here again today. A lot of them have been in the grandstands as well for kind of like the junior category races, which has been great to see. Some of them even braved the Porsche race that was red flagged because the rain was so heavy about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Wow.
2 hours ago now.
Really?
And they postponed the start of that. It was just too heavy. And that's the Porsches that don't create the spray through the downforce like the single-seaters, but they were just going to be skating off. Someone did spin off behind the safety car. It was that much standing water. But the paddock now is packed. So many guests here. I need to look at my little document of who's famous that's showing up, because there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Always.
A lot of helicopters overhead.
Plenty. It actually becomes one of I think it's the busiest airport in Britain for the 2 hours
for that moment.
Either side of the race.
Yeah, that's an annual thing. It's like Apocalypse Now. Helicopters constantly.
Yeah. That happens in Austin every year. We always set a record around the around the USGP in Austin, because I think it's the biggest travel day in Austin. It has been for like the last 10 years now. So, Chris, you said the stands are full. I'm not surprised. The British crowd is used to a little rain, so I don't think that's going to stop anybody.
Nope.
But Johnny Green, we got to talk about these three Brits on the top, because qualifying was fantastic yesterday with George Russell on pole again.
Yeah, I mean, let's just bask for a second. I know we spent 10 years moaning about Mercedes being totally dominant, and now are moaning about Red Bull. I mean,
yay, go Mercedes!
Well, but to be honest, to be where they were at Bahrain, and now where they are, and where they continue to be, whether it'll play out for the race itself, I don't know, but it's still, you have to take qualifying on its merit, and the merit is who goes fastest. And there's no question that Mercedes with a 1-2 have put their foot down. I'm really interested to see, I was listening to Checkered Flag on the way in, and the truth is, this is not going to be easy from pole. I mean, Hamilton, everybody's been saying he's disenfranchised and he's not going anywhere, and his mind is elsewhere. He's off to Ferrari. You give him a chance of a 9th win over George Russell.
9?
9. Yeah. This would be his 9th win.
That is a stunning number.
And that's a record, because he shares the record now with 8 wins at Silverstone and at Hungary. And Michael Schumacher won 8 at the home of the old French Grand Prix at Manicourt. So 9 would break a record for Lewis. And wouldn't you love to be inside Toto Wolff's head today if his 2 drivers are, leaving the field behind? Who gets the win? Russell, your new man, leader in the championship, or the old man who has a chance to put Mercedes on the front page of every sports section in the world?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
And we were joking in the media center. We were joking in the media center that as soon as the first corner's out the way, if Russell's still leading, he's going to get a radio message from Toto going, George, you can win this. Because of what happened at Austria. But also, guys, guess what? It's raining.
It's raining.
It's raining. It's raining and your Wi-Fi's dropping out.
And it's putting holes in your Wi-Fi.
It started raining and the pit hasn't even opened yet.
Well, go to the Pirelli motorhome and have a cuppa and put your feet up and do it from there.
Yeah, right when the rain started, your Wi-Fi dropped out.
Heading back down the paddock.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
You're back.
I think it's the far end of the paddock that's the problem. I think if I go to Aston Martin don't get my time now because it's raining. Oscar Piastri gets my time. He's walking to the garage. Very quick one word, Oscar. What do you think of the rain?
I'm all for it, to be honest. Bring it on.
Have fun.
Brilliant. Now that is a good, succinct interview. I like that.
But we got the point.
We now know exactly how Oscar's demeanor is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't really meant to speak to him then, but I was just walking next to him, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go.
Speaking
Chris.
of McLaren, and did McLaren get their hospitality unit fixed, or is it still in the ICU?
No, they did. It's the one that they had in Barcelona, but they boarded up the kitchen. So they've had to kind of make some changes to that. I'm actually going to have to go and hide in Pirelli's tyre fitting compound because it's hammering it down. I'm going to get under here.
All right.
Lovely timing. Yeah, it's just decided to really have a little go, and I don't have an umbrella.
Yeah.
So my mic was getting soaked.
I haven't heard the crowd numbers. Last year, there was
there.
some huge number, like 480,000 people last year. Chris, are we supposed to get similar crowd this year?
Similar, yes. We should be around the same sort of number, maybe a bit below. I think they didn't quite sell out, which not exactly the most creative way of doing it. Was the blame was laid at Red Bull's door for being too dominant last season, and that's why it didn't sell out, according to the managing director of the race. But I would argue that it's more the hiking of ticket prices, which have gone up quite a chunk over the last few years, and that has maybe led to not so many fans buying tickets straight off the bat. How many they sold this final week isn't clear, so we'll get the figures actually normally about the start of the race, so I should be able to talk about it at the end of the race.
Yeah, Chris,
to let you know what they hit.
Chris, has anybody ever done an expose on that? Because these people, they come and they camp, they pay for camping, they pay for car parks, they eat the burgers, they eat the hot dogs, and yet they keep putting the prices up as though these people are all the rich and glorious from London. They're not. These are the people of Britain who spend a week. This is their summer holiday.
It is. I'm going to ask, actually, I'm going to get Laurent Mekies is walking down the paddock, and he's dodging the rain too. Laurent, with where you're starting today, which is both cars outside the top 10, is this rain good for you?
Yes, rain is good for us today because, as you say, the competitiveness is a bit in a rough patch, and therefore, in this sort of situations, the rain is certainly something that can throw a few curveballs at all of us and make a bit of a more mixed result. So yes, it's good news. We are welcoming the rain. Let's see.
Well, it's a beautiful British summer. I'm glad we could help you. But do you think points will be a tall order if it stays dry from now on?
No, on the dry, it's tough. Based on what we have seen on Friday, it's probably tough on the dry. We think we have improved the car compared to Friday. It didn't look good on Friday in Austria, and we ended up in the point on Sunday with a good step in competitiveness. Here we think it's quite tough as well. But let's see. If there is a bit of mixed conditions, everybody will have a chance today.
Great stuff. Thank you and good luck.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not forget. I mean, his man, Pierre Gasly, starting at the back, but not because he was slow, but because they changed his entire drive line, basically. So he could be fun to watch coming up from 20th.
I like Laurent Mekies.
Oh, admittedly, that was a French accent. But yeah, I was going to say it was Mekies from RB rather than Faman from Alpine. So that was the other French accent you're used to hearing on the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. From RB. Well, he's got guys toward the back, too. So we'll see what happens. Did he say that this weather throws a curve at us? Did he use a baseball metaphor there?
Sure.
I think so, yeah. I mean, come on. We're an international community here in Formula One. I know it's the British Grand Prix and the teams are all based in the UK, but we look longingly at other sports as well. Like football. Has anyone mentioned that England won at football yesterday yet?
I kind of mentioned the penalties.
Did you see the video that was on the internet? There was a stage with a sea of people in front of it, and Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were sitting on the stage, obviously looking up at a big screen, and then the whole place erupted when England scored.
Yeah, it was the penalty shootout.
Cool.
They were meant to be doing their fan appearance, so doing a Q&A with the fans. And obviously, the drivers wanted to watch and the fans wanted to watch, so they stopped and sat down. George Russell had an England shirt on, didn't he, as well? And they saw the winning moment. So it was a pretty good atmosphere here last night, given a British 1-2-3 on the grid and then England making it through somehow. And you get a big Dutch contingent at every race as well. And they went through later on. So it was
Chris,
quite good day in terms of those results.
Chris, you must be moving down the grid because we are losing, or moving down the paddock because we're losing you. But hey, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we do have an interview that Chris did yesterday. We're going to try to squeeze this in with Ollie Bearman, the newest name in Formula One. Back after these messages. All right, let's see. See who the boys and girls, the men and ladies and gentlemen on YouTube are. We got Kevin Kelly, TW Joe of Oyster Bay, Mike Bowles, Todd Dauber. Todd Dauber hasn't joined us every week. Todd, welcome. Says Mercedes looking good enough. They might just entice Max to reconsider. There you go. Throw a little controversy in there. Joe of Oyster Bay says, how's the weather? You missed it, Joe. Chris said that it's raining as he speaks. All right. Let's see what else we got here.
Cold, windy, and rainy. So make sure you use your sunblock.
Mm-hmm.
Just a typical British summer, as they say, right?
I have to say also, here's a nice stat. Russell's now out-qualified Hamilton 10-2 in 24. That's pretty impressive, given Hamilton's record and George's. And I'm pleased I'm pleased for George because he needs that stat to move him forward. I've always said he's going to warm to that team leader role, and it doesn't matter really who's next to him, whether it be Verstappen or Antonelli. I do think that George now is sated as the number one Mercedes driver. Yeah,
I think so, without question. Yeah, and that's got to make the team feel good that he's getting results to match his talent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see.
Your tan
Greeny, I'm going to do the
English rain.
I'm going to do this live read for CrowdStrike first in this break, and then you can do your other one whenever, because we've just had this one live read today. So I'll do that one coming out.
I've got one.
Yeah, the Beatles doing the Walrus back there, Casey. Could you play John's lyric about standing in the English rain?
Hey, what was the clip you played? I missed it when you played just a second ago.
Lando goes, shut up.
Oh, is that what I missed it. I missed it.
In other words, he's telling the team to shut up, but he's telling us to shut up.
Yeah. Chris?
Right.
I'm George Russell, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
The F1 pre-race show on SiriusXM is brought to you by CrowdStrike. Stop today's most sophisticated cyber attacks at the office, the racetrack, and everywhere in between. Learn more at crowdstrike.com/XM. Thank you, Mr. George Russell, for bringing us back. And congratulations on your pole. We're about 40 minutes from the start of the British Grand Prix. Jonathan Green, I'm thinking about Max Verstappen sitting down there in fourth. His floor is repaired, and that's the reason he's down in fourth, because he had trouble with his floor yesterday after some incidents in qualifying. Do you think that Max, I don't want to steal your prediction for the end of the show, but do you think he can be immediately back up and battling for the win today?
Well, he's the one unknown, isn't he, really? And actually listening to Sam Bird and to Priestley yesterday, you can't count him out. The track is perfect for all of the good attributes of Red Bull. Fast sweeping corners, not a lot of slow corners. Inclement weather, potentially changing how your strategy goes. They're good at that.
Yes.
Their pit stops, sublime. They are a home team too, remember. And as Chris says, a lot of Dutch fans there. This is an important one for him too. And let's face it, he just got it handed to him last week. He wants revenge, and he wants it sweet right here in the heart of British racing. So yeah, if you want a motivation, there's one.
Yeah, Bob. What do you think?
Yeah. About Verstappen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's got all his weapons, as you say. They fixed the floor. The car will now presumably do what he wants it to do, and we know what Verstappen can do, especially in changing weather conditions. He's a fantastic wet weather driver. As Jonathan rightly points out, he's got an even larger chip on his shoulder this weekend, with something to prove after the collision with Norris that ruined his chances of winning in Austria last week. Yeah, there's a whole list of reasons that Max Verstappen's going to go out there with a full complement of red mist, and we'll see what happens. This track's wide open, a lot of opportunities to pass. Yeah.
The only thing that he doesn't have in his armory is a sidekick. He doesn't have a teammate. And when you look at Mercedes and how Mercedes and McLaren are set, I said it yesterday after the qualifying show, strategy-wise, this is probably the clearest indication for the teams to actually work a strategy with McLaren choosing, it may all be the same, but my point is, as a team manager, you sit down in the debrief and you go, this is what we are going to do. Whether they agree to it, I don't know. But certainly Russell can, Hamilton, I would have thought if Mercedes have got their wits about them, they will say, whoever gets to the first corner goes. And from there on in, if it's Russell, which is expected, then Hamilton, we want you in on lap so-and-so, and we want you to defend our position of leader. If Hamilton gets through, and you'll see it play out.
Yeah, well, we got lots more to talk about. I want to get Chris back in this conversation because there's been some news from the FIA about what happened last week. But first, we've got this interview that Chris did, I think, yesterday, or maybe day before, actually, with the newest F1 contract man in the paddock. And he's not there yet, but he will be soon. But Ollie Bearman. So Chris caught up with him. Let's hear from Ollie.
Oliver Bearman, a full-time Formula One driver. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's it sounds special, said out loud. I've had a taste of a race in F1, but to finally be able to compete in the whole season, I'm really excited. I can't wait to get going.
And when were you officially told? When did you really know? Because you've had questions and had to sort of smile through them for a while now.
Yeah, it's been on the cards for a very long time, but actually I think you'll be surprised that I only got told on Sunday in Red Bull Ring that everything was confirmed. I knew that it was happening and I knew that we were working on it, but until everyone agrees, it's not the case. So yeah, it was later than maybe everyone thought.
And you said it before yourself that Jeddah played a big role in that. Just how special now is it even to look back on to know that you had that performance with Ferrari and now you're going to be racing full time?
I think Jeddah was the performance that got me into F1. So of course I'll be proud of that for a very long time. And hopefully making that step to F1 can lead me onto some amazing things.
And we talk about a Ferrari performance, but it's been with Haas that you've been doing FP1s, that you made your debut during a race weekend in Mexico, and I remember Ayo Komatsu being really impressed with you then. What's it been like working with this team up to now?
Yeah, first of all, I've been really welcomed by everyone. They're an amazing bunch of people, really great atmosphere, and I really enjoy spending my time with them. And I do hope that we can have some great results together because they deserve it. They've been working really hard and they're on a great trend right now. So, fingers crossed.
Sunday must have been great timing then at the Red Bull Ring because 6th and 8th for the team, just as you're told that you're going to drive for them. It's a competitive car as well now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a great time for Haas. It was a bit less great for me. I had a DNF in F2, which at the end, I think no matter what happens, your own results take over. But to see how well they finished, I was super, super happy. They really deserve it, and that was a great point for Haas. So I hope they can keep it up.
Well, how do your preparations look from now till next year, I guess? Is it going to be, we've got a lot of FP1s I know coming up, but will you do other testing? Will you be working with the team more closely?
Yeah, I have a lot of FPs coming up still, 4, including this one in Silverstone. So that's a lot of mileage and also some testing as well to work on and to make sure I'm sharp. But off the track, I'm going to be working physically, working on my neck for sure. And then, improving my technical knowledge about F1 and about the weekend and everything to make sure I'm as ready as possible.
Now, will the North American fans get to see you in Austin this year? What's the FP1 schedule looking like?
I won't be running in Austin, but I will be there as a reserve driver, so hopefully I'll get some support from the home crowd.
I'm sure you will. Haas is very, very popular over there. But what about the rest of the F2 season? Because I know this, I guess, takes the pressure off for you, that you have no need to win the title to gain a seat, but I'm sure you want to challenge still. So what are your targets there?
Yeah, my targets don't change in F2. I still want to fight at the front. I think the championship is a bit ambitious at the moment with how we are. And you know, after the amount of points we missed out on in the first couple rounds. But I really want to finish on a high with Prema. They're a great team. Really the best team I've worked with, of course outside of F1. Don't worry. And yeah, I've just enjoyed every second with them, and I really want to finish well because they deserve that.
Well, you want to finish well, but it's a long run until you actually get to race in Formula One. Just how long these next 8 months going to feel like? I mean, how much do you want to just fast forward time?
Yeah, I want it to be Australia tomorrow, honestly, but that's okay. I can have a bit of patience, and yeah, looking forward to getting started, and I've got a lot of time to prepare, so that's also, I got time on my side.
Now, you've been getting a lot of attention because of what you've done and getting the promotion, but in F2 it's been tough to show what you can do. So what can fans expect from Ollie Bearman when he's a full-time F1 driver? What's going to be the kind of style you're going to bring? What do you hope to stamp your authority on F1?
I'm not sure. Time will tell. I hope that they like me. First of all, that's important. But I will just try to be myself and be a likable person. And of course, my performances on track will be really important to me. And I hope to make Haas proud and perform what the car will allow me to do.
And just finally, have you been able to tell anyone yet, if they ask what you do for a living, that you're an F1 driver? Have you had that response yet?
Not yet. It's only been like an hour. So yeah, I haven't been able to do that yet, but I'm working on it.
I bet you're looking forward to that moment.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Ollie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's going to play well with the girls in the bar. But you had a comment, Jonathan.
Well, I do think this is a rare moment in Formula One history in many ways. He's 13th in Formula 2. He's nowhere. And Antonelli, his teammate, is 8th.
Yeah.
And kind of nowhere.
I was looking this up when you...
And, you know, it really is rare for somebody who is underachieving in F2. As he said, he puts his point. Jeddah made him... So talk about a one-hit wonder. Jeddah and getting in that Ferrari because of an appendix is the reason, let's face it, he's where he is. And it just shows you, I think, two things. It shows that there are times where a shooting star can get where he needs to go. It's a rare moment. And two, look at the quality of the field. Hadjar leading the way, won again this weekend, got his chance in the seat as well as did Colapinto. You know, it's interesting because
13th in F2, but he's 14th in F1. Remember, he had that 7th place finish.
That's true.
Think about that. Yeah.
And I would refute one thing. He needs to learn. No one's going to like him in Formula One.
I know. I was smiling when he said that.
Stop worrying about being liked. They'll like you if you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what a great time in a young driver's life. I mean, he's done nothing, to make people take sides regarding whether he's good, whether he has a future, whether he sucks, whatever it is. But now he's got this up. He's stepping up to the pinnacle. He's got so much work to do to bridge that huge performance gap between even an F2 car and a Formula One car. His media requests are going to quintuple. It's really going to be tough to keep your head on straight. He sounds like a kid who can do that. And certainly from what he just told Chris, I think he can. And I hope it does. It'll please the girls at the bar, but it's going to affect a lot of other people too.
I don't want to put pressure on him, but he does remind me a lot of George Russell's arrival at Williams as a Formula One driver, as a really nice kid, but with a steely eye, and he proved that in his racing. Right. I think he has a very similar attributes to George Russell, and I think he will harden with time, as has George. And it doesn't get any harder than being up against up against Hamilton. I do think it's a great team for him to join. Io admitted in the press conference on Friday that it was perfect timing for Bearman because they are a team on the up and up, and he's the kind of guy that they can get behind because he brings a whole new youthful and exciting. I think he's the right fit. He's a good friendly team, and I do think that they are punching above their weight would be mildly not too complimentary, but they are going well compared to where they were dead last year.
Yeah, and I think that seventh place important. That he got in Saudi Arabia, that 7th place finish, I think that's the reason he's here.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he said it in the interview.
Yeah, he said as much. And that's, every other kid on the grid in F2 or F3 or wherever you like is going to look at that and say, hey, I can do that too. It's possible. I can go out and have one good performance. Give me the opportunity. I do well, and a lot of doors will open. And Jonathan, your point's terrific that he's going into a team, as Russell did with Williams, where not a lot is expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything even mildly good that he does will be amplified by the fact that he's with a team. And not only is it not a team that's had a lot of success, but as Jonathan said, it's a team that seems to be on the rise. So a lot of that reflected glory will help him as well. And I don't want to leave F2 without mentioning that our own Jack Crawford finished third in the feature race today. So he got himself up on the podium, reserve driver at Aston Martin. So congratulations to Jack. I think he was sixth yesterday in the sprint.
Yeah, and he's sixth in the championship too. I'm really impressed with what Jack's doing. He swapped out of Red Bull and he's now an Aston Martin asset, which is good because if you think about it, Bearman is actually a Ferrari asset, but where would he drive at Ferrari? It's an impossible thing. Schwartzman's now going to disappear into the ether because there's no drive there.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be just inside 30 minutes and for the Formula One British Grand Prix, and we'll be back right after this. Let's see. A penalty for Jack Crawford, apparently.
Oh, no.
Crawford took the checkered flag, but fell to third behind Hajar and Maloney following a 5-second post-race time penalty for unsafe release in the pit lane. Darn it.
So where did he
Was
finish?
he first across the line?
I guess so.
Did he win the race?
Yeah. He took the checkered flag, but he fell to third because of the
Well, he just won
release.
He won last week, though, didn't he?
He did do good last week. I remember Chris talking about him too, but yeah,
he has won, but I don't know if it was last week or
anyway.
Yeah,
he got a third.
He really seems to be
he got a third here. This is
that's how he ended up with a third because of the penalty. He took the checkered flag first. Excuse me, in first.
Oh well, maybe Chris can tell us when he gets back on.
Yeah, but that looks like it was a penalty that.
Yeah, he knocked 19 points. Yeah, he got a win. He got a podium in Spielberg too.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. He got a win in Barcelona. That's what it was.
There you go.
Okay, I knew that. Yeah, I knew he had some.
And he got a third yesterday.
All right, you ready for your live read after this?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah, he was sixth yesterday. It was Jack. And how did Max Esterton do? He took pole for the feature race in Formula 3, but then was penalized for impeding.
Let's see what the guys are saying on YouTube here. Let's see. Rain on the way, TW says. Daniel Ricciardo is out on track after the power unit change. Isn't there? You can say that always. Rain on the way, TW, in Silverstone. Installation laps on the inners at the moment. Track is damp, says KK. Sun beating down should dry. All right, here we go.
Do you want me to do the read down?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Karun Chandok, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Hey guys, just a quick reminder before we head to Silverstone that your love of Le Mans, remember you watch it every June, but you've never had a chance to go? Well, now's your chance because the Lone Star Le Mans is back since 2020, and it's coming to little old Elroy. Yes, it's coming to the Circuit of the Americas, and it's going to be a 6-hour doozy. You know, there's never been more OEMs involved. Aston Martin, BMW, Cadillac, Corvette, Le Mans winners, Ferrari. I mean, Ford are there, Lexus, McLaren, Peugeot. Come on, guys. This is going to be so much fun. And if that's not enough to get you whistle ready, then how about cheering on Jenson Button and the great Valentino Rossi? Yes, both will be in action at the Lone Star Le Mans, and it's all happening at a time you could do it. Labor Day weekend. That's right. You got a day off on Monday, so celebrate, party hard. We've got the Lamborghinis as well as the Ford Mustang Challenge. And I know my friend Jon Massengale is going to love that because it's the first time we'll see that championship happening. It's all going on at the Circuit of the Americas on Labor Day weekend, starting Friday, August 30th, and culminating in the Lone Star Le Mans on September 1st. 6 hours in all, heading into the night. Doesn't get any better.
That's right, man. We're going to get to see that race start in the day and finish in the night. Really excited about that. All right. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, guys, we are about 25 minutes from the race, and we were talking about Max Verstappen. We just saw
Brad Pitt,
yeah, with the Apex team, the Hollywood team. They are really set up this weekend. They've got the full motorhome. They've got the old Williams motorhome, Chris said yesterday. And Jonathan, wouldn't you like to be with the Williams team when that call came in going, you guys have something just kind of laying around because they're not using it anymore. It's
an easy one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically garbage.
Little do you know that our good friend Dave O'Neill, running Junkers, has been involved in various parts of the Apex movie. Yeah. He evidently skedaddled a whole bunch of Porsches for the Daytona 24 Hours for them, and has been called on a few times. What is he not
involved in?
He's a tinker. I love him.
Yeah,
he's a tinker.
All right. Well, I was about to talk about Max Verstappen because going back a week, I was just looking at one of these stories that popped up where the FIA admits Verstappen should have had a black and white flag warning in Austria. And
the FIA admitted that.
Yes. Yeah, you saw that, Bob. What do you think, Bob? What's your take on that?
Kind of irrelevant, I mean, okay, they should have had a black and white flag. Well, I don't know that it would have done more damage than the 10-second penalty he did get. But at least it is FIA recognition that the stewards found Verstappen at fault. And that, helps obviate all those other arguments about, well, it was his fault, it was his fault, it was his fault. And there's been interesting opinions on both sides. I think Jenson Button and one other driver, who else, came to Verstappen's support after that, saying that it wasn't worthy of a penalty and that it wasn't entirely Verstappen's fault. But that was definitely a minority opinion. And with the FIA now saying, yeah, we should have flagged him, it wouldn't have had a big impact on the race, but it is recognition.
Well, McLaren believes that it would have had a huge impact because they believe the incident could have been avoided. The whole wreck that took Lando out had there been a flag issue.
Well, yeah, obviously, they're pissed off at Verstappen and the way he goes racing, as a lot of people were with Michael Schumacher, with Ayrton Senna. And, the rules were modified to accommodate what these drivers were doing on track.
Jonathan, we haven't, we were on air last week, but we haven't really, you and I hadn't talked about this. And with the fans
that's a good point, yeah.
What do you think about the way that thing went down with Verstappen and Lando? And Max is, moving under braking.
I have to say, and Bob just brought up the Schumacher, Ayrton Senna kind of attitude, and much as I absolutely admire both of those two men and have made our sport so great, I don't think it's right. And what I mean by that is there are 4 or 5 drivers, and today it could go all heavily wrong if the attitude of Verstappen is, I'm Max Verstappen, and I don't, I'm above the rule of law. But I do think it's wrong. I really do think that you've got to rein it in. Otherwise, it gets dangerous. I mean, Verstappen and Norris have made amends. But the truth is, now Norris has, a battle horse capable of battling as strongly as Verstappen, and he doesn't like it. And frankly, Zach Brown is with me on this one. He said that, they need to tell him the rules at Red Bull, saying, you can't do that. You moved once, strike me down. If you move twice, then you're going to get penalized. He got lucky, to be honest. He finally got penalized. It was only 10 seconds. But the truth is, he went foul of the rules, and he knows them better than anybody. So, yeah, honestly, he should be facing a 1-race potential ban.
You're going to get all the fans
but he should be facing. Yeah, he should be facing. He should be on probation. Is what I'm getting at. Is if he does something similar in the British Grand Prix and causes a crash, basically, which is what he did in Austria, and changes the race for his benefit or either way, to the detriment of both of them in that case in Austria, then he's got to be reined in because there's people, our kids are watching F3, F4. I know all the dads. And one of those kids is going to be going, all right, I want to be Max Verstappen. And okay, but that's not where it works. And Antonelli's next. He's an ex-karting guy who probably looks up to Max and thinks, wow, that's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, there's a nuance in the rules there. Yeah, we all refer to moving in response to what the car behind you is doing. And that's illegal. But the letter of the rule is that you cannot change your line once you start braking for the corner, which I think is a subtle but important difference. Except, you can stay on the racing line, but once you start braking, you can't move. It's sort of compressing the whole thing to focus on braking for entering the corner. But, that's all aside from the point that, the black and white flag would have been a warning. And I assume what the FIA means is that we should have warned Verstappen earlier in the race, having done it a couple of times to Norris before they're coming together. And let's not forget, Verstappen knows very well from Silverstone what can happen when a driver goes off. He had his bell rung properly a couple of years ago when Lewis Hamilton ushered him into the gravel trap and the tire wall. And in fact, a writer came out, it was Mark Hughes, who said Norris can ask Lewis Hamilton how to deal with Max Verstappen when he starts, his moving under braking tricks.
And I saw Anthony Davidson, who I think does
that was a brilliant piece.
And when he broke that all the way down, saying
it was fait accompli.
I was like, this is pretty damning evidence. The rules are the rules. If we want to change the rules, that's fine.
Yeah, Zach Brown quoted him actually in his defense.
McLaren quoted him on Twitter, which is unusual.
Well, because it was such a great way of analysing it. If you haven't seen it, go back to the F1 coverage from last week of the Austrian Grand Prix and listen to his analysis, frame by frame, quite literally. And then he goes to the example of 2019, where the same thing happened, but with Max gaining the advantage by using the same trick or the same, way of getting past, same corner. So they know it. They know it all too well.
All right. Well, I want to move on because we beat that horse to death over the last week, but I want to talk about Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
And starting in P6, have I got that right? P6 today. After that, Haas car looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It does, and he's going to rue the day that he's suddenly in bright green and looking pretty normal next year. But that's
lots of drivers may be second guessing.
Then again, when he looks at his bank account, I'm sure he'll
get over it, right?
Yeah.
Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas car starting in 6th, and apparently you look and go, wow, it's not so great for Kevin Magnussen, but apparently they don't have the same bits on both cars, right? Apparently it is. It's kind of like the Williams has been. In other words, Hülkenberg's got the good bits right now.
Yeah, and he's ahead.
But also looking that. Yeah, but you can't fault Nico Hülkenberg for that because we've seen throughout the season, no matter which bits were on the car, that Hülkenberg was simply the superior qualifier. There's just no question about it.
It's he'll go down in history as the most bizarre kind of driver. There was a time where we would every commentator in the world, and it got to me at one point because I felt it was unfair, but every time his name was mentioned, it was like the only Grand Prix winner not to have won a Grand Prix. Right. He has won Le Mans.
And it was Audi is not happy with you right now because you just predicted he's not going to win with them either.
Well, not at first. No.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Audi has a lot of reasons to love Nico Hülkenberg, as Jonathan just mentioned.
Yeah.
He won Le Mans for them overall. Come on.
Yeah, it is. When you actually dig down, there is a match made in heaven between those two in terms of team managers and in terms of his relationship with Audi. It is a good, and of course he's German. We haven't had a really good German driver since Nico. So, really, really good news.
Okay, so let's move on again. As I scroll up and down the starting grid, all the way at the bottom is Pierre Gasly. We know why he's there. We talked about it because he's got components change. But Checo Perez in 19th. Guys, he has a fresh new contract that's only a month old. But I think that contract may not be worth the ink it's written on.
No contract in the world is worth what it's written on. Simply because
he's in trouble, isn't he?
I think so. I think he's flattered to deceive. I think he started well. But the truth is, as I said, here we are, top 6. And where is the support for Red Bull's strategy? And this is a day when Christian Horner must, regardless of who's in the gravel trap and how it happened and whatever, you need a car up there. And, Ocon's sitting around waiting for a drive. And Ocon could have been further up the grid in that car. So too could many others. So, it's a tough one. But we'll see. I feel for him because I like Checo.
Sure, everybody does.
And I think that he deserves a place on the Formula One grid, but whether it's at Red Bull, I don't know.
He's on his charm offensive. I think he's saying all the right things. He said, he was quoted yesterday as saying, I will turn this thing around. He was saying exactly what I suppose the team needs to hear, that he recognizes that he's underperforming. Maybe he has a clue why, maybe not, but either way, he's going to try to find it out and turn that boat.
All right. Well, come on. After this, guys, we got George Russell because Chris Medland just sent us an interview that he sent in. So we'll hear that right after these messages.
Not yours, are they?
Those are yours.
I know.
Those are yours. I found them, and I think you must have given me that years ago. That's like your old house key. All right, we're still live on YouTube. And Jonathan Green, your little speech about Max Verstappen has resonated quite positively. David Lawrence says, here, Johnny Green. 110% agree with you. Give Max a ban. Mike Bowles says, I agree with JG. Andy P says, came in late. And JG coming in hot. JG dropping truth bombs.
Well, I do. I think sometimes you get too sympathetic to these world champions. Schumacher, Rascal, the things he did, and Senna was just as bad. He was a terrible. It was a terrible sport.
I hadn't really thought about what you said about all the young drivers watching Max Verstappen.
Absolutely,
they're going. This is how. This is the world champion. This is the guy that everybody.
In other words, get to Formula One. But if you really, really want to be the world champion, then what you have to do is and there's an element of that. I get that. That's true of any athlete. You have to have a mindset that says you want to demolish the opponent.
All right. Hey, Casey, did you see Chris's note about editing? Okay, great. Chris, how are you, buddy? I see his name.
Oh, look out. Ted Lasso meets the British Grand Prix and the Red Tops. Oh, the Grenadier Guards and Ted Lasso. Oh, what?
What's her name? What's the actress?
Oh, I forget her name, but she's great. And look, even George is paying attention.
She needs an extra tall mic stand because she is a tall
She's a tall lady. Her background, she was on Broadway for years. She never was.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, she's a great singer.
Yeah, well, she has a presence,
Yeah, but she wasn't an actress, really. She wasn't looking for a part in Ted Lasso at all.
So are those jets American-made or?
Hell no, gosh, no. That's the Red Arrows, I'll have you know. They were flying over in 1950 when the airport was open.
They better get some new ones, I hope, for battle.
If you want my pâté, I'll give you pâté.
We're watching the jets fly over. All right, coming back. Here we go.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back. We're almost ready for the Formula One British Grand Prix. Chris Medland, I see you there. Is your mic hot? Casey must have him turned down maybe or something because we are not getting any Chris Medland.
I'm hearing him.
Oh, you are? I'm not hearing him. Oh, no wonder.
I hear him.
There we go. All right. Hey, Chris, sorry about that, buddy. But you got some interviews for us, didn't you, while you were gone?
I did, and I'll rush through the list for you guys. I don't know how many we'll get to play out right now, but apologies to American listeners for grabbing an English cricketing legend in Stuart Broad. But we did talk about your sport, I promise.
Hey, the World Cup's going on here right now.
Exactly that. That's what we spoke about. And then I also got some guy called George Russell who's starting on pole, which was hectic and chaotic. But I managed to grab a few words with George.
Got George Russell, the pole sitter here for the British Grand Prix, just going to take some energy on board. How are the nerves right now, George?
Yeah, feeling good. It's funny old day, sun's out, when it's raining. I think we've got rain hitting in about an hour's time, so that's going to probably be the key point of the race.
Yeah, I mean, can you stay calm when you know there's so much chaos ahead and it's all going to be a bit of a lottery?
Yeah, I mean, it's after last week's victory, pressure's off, so just feeling excited for the race ahead.
And how good is that crowd?
Very good. Loving it.
Short and sweet, love it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It sounds
well
like
done. You get the pole man on British Grand Prix Day.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I had to get my elbows out in front of a certain Sky Sports as well for that one. So,
yes.
That last question was.
You'll have hell to pay at home. I don't know how you do it. You'll be back in the lobby. You'll be back in the laundry room again.
Yeah, you'll be sleeping on the floor. I forgot about that.
Well, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, haven't you? So
right.
It was one of those where I got him coming out the garage actually, and he was just having an energy gel to prepare for the race. You know, obviously these drivers' nutrition.
What is their choice?
I'd say this race though, when you've got that potential for chaos I mentioned, you might have interruptions, you might have kind of peaks and troughs. You probably want to fuel up accurately for this one because it could be one that goes a distance if we get heavy rain at any stage.
Do you know what those gels are made up of? Just are they like a Gatorade in gel or electrolytes?
Almost, yeah. Without doing too much advertising, the brand is SIS, which I've seen cyclists using and runners using.
Sure.
So yeah.
So that's got the extra drugs then for the Tour de France.
Yeah, exactly that. Thanks to us.
I wasn't going to go there, being an Austinite.
Oh, come on, live strong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, off the back of that, how about we hear about... Who else do you want to hear from? Do you want Mario Isola or do you want Stuart
Let's
Broad?
go Mario.
I'll let Casey choose.
Oh, Casey will choose.
Yeah. Mario, thank you for stopping for us. You're on the headset there. Is it a hectic time for you guys when there's been a bit of rain around?
Yeah, I was checking the situation with the intermediate tires because obviously they came out of the pit with the intermediate, but the track is dry and they damage a little bit the hedges of the intermediate. We know that this circuit is a high severity, so if you use the intermediate not in the right condition, you can wear them quite quickly.
Does that mean some drivers might have just lost a set of intermediates just coming to the grid?
No, it's the set that probably used in Q1 yesterday, so not really a disadvantage, and they needed to understand which is the limit for the intermediate, so in any case it's a good information.
And what do you think that sprinkle of rain we've just had will have done for the track? Is it going to really make much of a difference to the grip level and the strategy today?
Not really, because the track is green. In any case it's green. We had the rain yesterday, we had the rain overnight, and the rubber is not down, so they have to look after the soft compound in dry condition for the graining. We know it can this compound can have some graining. Medium and hard are working well. That's why it's a one-stop in our opinion with different combination. The only one that needs some management is the soft.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. But what's your forecast saying? Is there going to be rain?
There was a forecast for showers, 20 minutes, which we had actually, and now I didn't check because you should check weather forecast every 5 minutes to understand what is going to happen.
Yeah, that's the British summer for you, but we look forward.
It's good to understand if the teams still have their race instinct to change the tire at the right time.
Yeah. It's going to be chaotic. We're looking forward to it.
I hope so. Yeah.
Brilliant, Chris. Hey, did we get some more rain while you were gone the last 15, 20 minutes?
It was raining when I went onto the grid, but it stopped very quickly, and then the sun came out. So I actually got someone to hold my mic while I zipped up my coat because it was raining. By the time I walked to the back of the grid looking for signal, I had to unzip it all again because I was roasting. The sun's gone again though, so it's cold again, but it's not raining right now. But there's threatening clouds everywhere.
Okay, well, Chris, you did get one more interview. Do we have enough time? We got about 7 minutes. We got enough time to play that. Chris, who was this?
Chris Bob.
Go for it. This is Stuart Broad, who was an England cricketer, international cricketer, and Broadie was a bit of a legend in English cricket. But he was talking at the time, and he hints about it in this interview, to one of his arch rivals on the grid, which is one of the reasons I went over there.
I've got Stuart Broad with me, ex-England cricketer. Seems strange to say ex, you only retired last year, Stuart, and your bowling partner, James Anderson's about to retire, but here on the British Grand Prix grid, I know it's not your first Grand Prix, is it? But what's so special about Formula One racing for you?
Oh, it's incredible. I've been a big fan since being a young kid, and my dad was really into it, so that's how I sort of got into it. And yeah, I've been to Silverstone 3 or 4 times, but my partner Molly's got really into it recently as well, so really special to be with her today, and she's sort of telling me how the race is going to go and stuff. We're here with McLaren. I think they're a little bit nervous about the weather because obviously their car's really quick. They qualified quite well, and when it rains, it brings it a little bit more sort of open, doesn't it? So I think McLaren are hoping for a dry race, not to put words in their mouth. But I know as a supporter, you sort of don't mind a bit of rain. It brings some drama to it, doesn't it?
It does. It's not as damaging as it is to cricket as well, where it all has to stop when it rains. But we're live across North America and Canada. Just had the T20 World Cup involved over there. How good is it to see the sport, all sorts of sports, growing in North America? Because F1's really tugged to that recently as well.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, cricket, I think the way a lot of teams played, but the USA actually beat Pakistan in the T20 World Cup, and then for India to go and win it, the biggest cricketing nation, was almost perfect, really, and the USA to make the Super 8s. You know, it's such an amazing sporting world. I think a lot of sports people would wish, you know, if they didn't play sport for their own country, that they could play sport in America, because it's just such an iconic place to be. So it's great to see cricket sort of tapping into that market, and Formula One has done more than tap into that market. They've sort of broken down the barriers. You only have to watch the Miami Grand Prix and Los Angeles and Las Vegas to see that it's a hell of a spectacle. But, you know, being out here on the grid, it's just outstanding. You know, it's got such a big sporting event feel to it.
Can you ever imagine being about to bowl 10 minutes out for your first spell and having this kind of chaos?
I was just walking on the grid there with Pat Cummins, the Australian captain, and we were having that exact conversation. Our closest would be the long room at Lords, but nothing like this. This is incredible. I mean, it actually shows the mental strength of the drivers, to be honest. I think it's awesome.
Well, I'll let you go and enjoy the atmosphere, and thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Proper fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love hearing from boxers and cricketers, and it just shows you how much it affects everybody in the world.
And for those who aren't familiar with cricket, when Chris referred to his bowling partner, he doesn't mean at the local beer league at the alleys. He's talking about the cricket equivalent of a baseball pitcher is the bowler, serves up the ball.
All right. Well, speaking of bowling, why don't you knock these down pretty quick, Bob, because we got to run the grid real quick.
That's a tortured metaphor, but okay. Here's the starting grid, and I'll have to I'll abbreviate, so bear with me. On the pole, George Russell for Mercedes, third career pole for the winner in Austria last week. Russell's lap was nearly a full second under last year's pole time, by the way. Next to him, teammate Lewis Hamilton, the crowd favorite, 8-time winner, tying the record for most wins at a single circuit. He could break that today. Michael Schumacher shares it with him. Hamilton starts his 344th Grand Prix today, and no driver with more than 300 starts has ever won after achieving that milestone. Could this be the day? Row 2, Lando Norris for McLaren, another driver with a brief grip on provisional pole in Q3. The lineup of Russell, Hamilton, Norris is the first 1-2-3 grid of British drivers ever at Silverstone. P4, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. The triple defending world champ went off at Copse Corner, damaged the underbody of his car, lost downforce, and was a whopping 0.4 of a second shy of Russell's pole time. P5, row 3, Oscar Piastri and McLaren, just 34 hundredths of a second behind Verstappen. McLaren's the only team still to have put both cars into Q3 at every race this season. Today, they're going for their 8th consecutive podium finish. P6 next to Oscar is Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas, rolling in the deep in the top 10 shootout once again. The heavily revised Haas in the hands of the German was the fastest Ferrari-engined car, beating both of the factory machines. Row 4, one of those machines, Carlos Sainz in a Ferrari, rumored to have moved ahead of teenager Kimi Antonelli for the second seat at Mercedes, but we'll see. P8 will be Lance Stroll in the first of the Aston Martins. And I'm going to hurry up because we're running out of time. Row 5, P9, Alex Albon and the Williams. P10, Fernando Alonso, racing at Silverstone for the 21st time. That breaks a record for starts at this circuit that he shared with 2007 champ Kimi Räikkönen. Row 6, P11, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, off the front-running pace all weekend. He's not having a great weekend once again, but that goes without saying. P12, right next to the Monaco winner, is Logan Sargent of the United States and the Williams. Best qualifying performance of the season for the American. Row 7, 13th, Yuki Tsunoda, the first of the RBs, one of several drivers who went off at Copse Corner. P14, Zhou Guanyu in the Sauber, a big step up for the Chinese driver, thought to be on the way out at that team. 15th, Daniel Ricciardo in the second RB. 16th, Valtteri Bottas in the Sauber. 17th, Kevin Magnussen in the second Haas. 18th, Esteban Ocon for Alpine. 19th, Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. We talked about that. And 20th, with a brand new drive line. Keep your eye on Pierre Gasly in the second LP.
All right, Johnny Green, I need your prediction. We're almost out of time.
1-2 for Mercedes and Verstappen third.
Okay, Bob Varsha, your predictions?
I'll go with Jonathan. Yeah, 1-2 Mercedes with Verstappen third.
And you know what? I'm not going to go last. I'll let Chris Medland go last. I'm going to say George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Nico Hulkenberg for the first Haas podium in the rain. All right, Chris, what do you got?
Wow. Norris, Verstappen, Russell for me today.
All right, brilliant. All right, thanks everybody for tuning into our pre-race show. Stay here for the race and then come back for our post-race show. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you after the race.